Sorry, I think you couldn't hear me yet. Hello and welcome everyone to our fourth webinar of our webinar series about how to make it in Germany. Today, with a focus on the visa and the entry process. My name is Alexandra Köbler. I work for the project Make It in Germany, and I'm looking forward to talk to you about this relevant topic within the next hour. With us today is my colleague Katarina Obanczyk. She's in charge of the technical support and the chat. And Katarina, please give us some relevant information for a smooth webinar today.
Yes, thank you for the introduction and welcome to our webinar. Maybe you saw us before on the first series on your way to Germany. As I said, today we are working on the visa process. And we hope you don't have any technical issues. If you don't hear us, sometimes or mostly it helps if you switch off your computer auto in your GoToWebinar user panel and switch it on again. This solves most of the problems. If you still have any technical issues, please write it down in the chat and we'll try to help you. You can type your questions directly into the chat, but don't be confused. Only the moderators can see your questions. We will collect your questions at the end of the presentation, and Alexandra will answer your question. And under handouts, you can download the presentation today. And we are happy if you're leaving the webinar, please answer our feedback questions so we can improve our webinar series. So now I will shut down my camera, and now the presentation starts. Enjoy.
Perfect. Thank you, Katarina. I said it in the beginning, we are having a webinar series going on. Hang on, I can't see my presentation anymore. No. And we were focusing on like the first orientation in the beginning. So what are your first steps? What's the overview of the whole process? Then we were talking to our colleagues from the Goethe Institute about learning German. On Tuesday, just 2 days ago, we were having a webinar together with our colleagues from the Federal Employment Agency about job search and application. As you know, today we focus on visa and entry process. And then next week, last but not least, we will focus on the topic of your first steps in Germany, life in Germany, and so on. Why am I saying this? If you participated in the other webinars already, that's great. If not, don't worry. We will upload all of the webinars on our YouTube channel probably in like 1 or 2 weeks. Just check it here and there, and then you will find the whole series online. Okay, let's have a look at our agenda for today. We want to look at the portal very briefly in the beginning, and then we directly start with a few certain residence titles and requirements, and also the general visa and entry process. And in the end, as always, we'll have a Q&A session with all of your questions. We start with, I think that became kind of a tradition, with the first question about Make It in Germany. Are you familiar with the official website Make It in Germany? I can see 60% have voted already, 65, maybe a few more can give us some feedback. 75. All right, let's see the result. Hang on, it's pretty clear. 89% know the portal already. So I will speed up in the beginning because I'm sure you have heard those information quite a few times now. Make It in Germany is the government information portal for qualified professionals. We provide information for international professionals and graduates as well, and also companies in Germany for employing international professionals. We started with the project in June 2012, and the page is available in 4 languages: German, English, Spanish, and French. And we are counting at the moment, or so far, 56 million users worldwide. Maybe a little hint in the beginning, you can see on this slide already a link on the right downside, so to say. The whole presentation has links in it. So if you download the presentation, as Katharina said, in this tool here under handouts, you can download it and then you have the PDF and you can click on all of those links. Having said that, we go further. Our project exists 10, actually almost 11 years now, and for this anniversary we have filmed a few success stories and did some nice formats, media formats, so to say. So feel free to check this out and get inspired. Yeah, I want to give a brief overview again about what the portal offers. We have the information on the website itself. We have graphics on visa procedures, job listings with current vacancies, social media, concretely Twitter and YouTube. We have a quick check. This is a very relevant aspect today. Maybe we have time at the end to go on this quick check because it gives you the very first individual advice on which visa could be the relevant one for you, and yeah, it's quite a handy tool. We have checklists, we have explainer videos on our YouTube channel, we have interactive maps with contact points and German institutions, and also through our website you can contact the hotline Working and Living in Germany, where you can get like personal consultation from our experts of the BAMF and the Federal Employment Agency. We cover different topics on our website, topics about working in Germany, which professions are in demand, recognition, setting up a business, research, then also like about studying in Germany, especially prospects after graduation, but also training profiles, of course, visa and residence, that's why we are here today, and also information about living in Germany. All right, now we're coming to the topic that we want to focus on today. And I want to ask you another question before we go on. Do you know that did you know that the German government is working on a reform of the current German immigration law? I'm very intrigued what you are going to reply now. 65% have voted. Maybe we get a few more votes. Okay. I can already see what you voted here on the side. So 75%. Okay, let's see. So 49% knows this already and 51% hasn't known it before. That's very interesting. Okay, I have brought a little disclaimer with me, so to say, about this topic. So the German government is working on a reform of the immigration law at the moment to make labor migration more accessible. Maybe some of you know that in 2020, well, the first step has been made already with the Skilled Immigration Act, Fachkräfteeinwanderungsgesetz, and now the government is working on a reform, on another reform. This amendment is planned for the end of 2023 and also 24. It comes into force in steps, so to say, starting with changes about the EU Blue Card that will come into force in November 2023. Important to know right now is that you will find all those information about new regulations on the website Naked in Germany. It's crucial that when you read information about the new law, because 49% of you have heard about it already, and of course everyone wants to have information, but especially when it comes to visa regulations, please check the source where you read it. And this is also where Make It in Germany becomes important, because here the information that you get is reliable. The government checks our texts beforehand, so everything that you read here, especially about visa and residence permits, is like binding. You can rely on it. What we are planning is that we put together a little pre-information in summer about an overview of the changes that are going to come. So the first changes will come into force in November. That's important for you. And you will already get some pre-information in summer on Make It in Germany. We hope in July, roundabout. Okay. In this presentation, I have marked like those parts where we expect changes, so you are already aware of where changes will happen. But it's important to note that today we are talking about the law as it currently is valid, so to say. So the legal framework as it is at the moment. Okay, access to the labor market in Germany. Who needs a visa? We have EU and EEA nationals who don't need a visa for entry, and they have unrestricted access. A group in the middle, a small group, nationals of Australia, Canada, Israel, Japan, the Republic of Korea, New Zealand, the UK, and the US. From here, it's possible to enter Germany without an entry visa, but it's important to know that before you start working, you need to apply for a residence permit for the purpose of employment in Germany before you start to work. You can enter without a visa, but here, before you work, you need to apply for this residence permit at the Foreigners Office. All other third country nationals, they need to apply for an entry visa before entering Germany, and then changing this entry visa into a residence permit here in Germany for the same purpose, so for the purpose of employment in Germany. All right, so what we are talking now today is of course valid for like people from non-EU countries. To give you an orientation, I want to show you like the structure, so to say, of the legal framework of skilled migration to Germany. Basically, it's been regulated in the German Residence Act and the German Employment Regulation. The Skilled Immigration Act from 2020 was an article law. That means that it like impacted certain parts of the German Residence Act and the German Employment Regulation. Here you can see the green marker. Here the amendment will come. Here will be changes that impact as well parts of the German Residence Act and the German Employment Regulation. But if you want to look up like the German immigration law, for example, online, you have to put in German Residence Act and not Skilled Immigration Act. So you can, that's sometimes confusing. So that's why I have put this slide together here. All right. We have like two major aspects that are relevant for the access to the German labor market. We have qualifications and employment. When it comes to the qualifications, at this point, you need a recognition of your foreign qualification. When it comes to regulated professions, like in the health sector, for example, you additionally need a permission to practice. And yeah, the professional qualification must fit the job position. Concerning the employment, yeah, there's access to all qualified professions and vocational training positions in Germany. There's no restriction to branches that are in demand or anything. Sometimes that's a little bit confusing. Of course, there are areas where there's a high demand in Germany, for example, IT specialists, but there's access to all qualified professions and training positions in Germany. And another aspect that's interesting is that employment in related professions is possible. Actually, that wasn't possible before the Skilled Immigration Act in 2020. That's why it's actually standing here. So there's a little bit more flexibility when it comes to employment. An exception is the EU Blue Card. Here it's quite strict that the employment and the qualification have to be well equivalent, so to say. All right, next slide. The role of the Federal Employment Agency. I've put this slide in here because I think sometimes it's not clear what the role is within the visa process. And every employment needs an approval of the Federal Employment Agency. This is like a step that's been done within the visa procedure. So you, for example, have a job offer, you apply for a visa, and within the visa process, the Federal Employment Agency has to give the approval for it. What do they check? They verify your working conditions, and they verify whether the qualification fits the specific job position. Actually, I think it's important to know that because this is also protection of the worker. So they check that you're not underpaid, for example, and that you have enough holidays in your or days of holidays in your contract, etc. So this step is also a step for protection of the worker. Yeah, and we have different kinds of residence permits. We have listed a few here that are all links actually. So when you download the presentation, you can click on all of them and then you find the certain information. But I have marked the three that we want to focus on today. It's the residence permit or visa for skilled workers, the EU Blue Card, and the residence permit for other employment purposes. I think, yeah, on the next slide, I have a last question for you before we get into detail. Hang on, because that's quite interesting when it comes to the residence permits that we want to talk about. Do you already have a binding job offer with a German employer? Yes or no? All right, that's pretty clear. Let's show you the results. So 4% already have a job offer and 96% do not have a job offer yet. First of all, I want to highly recommend to re-watch the webinar from Tuesday with the colleagues from the Federal Employment Agency, because they gave so many tips on how to write an application, how to search for a job, etc. Because if you want to immigrate to Germany with a job offer already, or with a work visa, so to say, you need a job. There are also options to enter Germany with the purpose of job seeking. But if you already want to come with a work visa, the EU Blue Card, etc., then you need a binding job offer already. So yeah, there are plenty of tips for a successful job search. But let's start. The three residence permits that we want to talk about today are all three work permits that you already need a job offer for. Of course, it's also relevant for those of you who don't have a job offer yet, because once you have a job offer, those three could be, or one of those three could be relevant for you. Sorry. Okay, we start with the visa for skilled workers. What do we need for this visa? We need a full recognition of your foreign qualification, academic or non-academic. You need a concrete job offer in Germany, matching the recognized qualification. And I said it before, an employment in related professions is possible. So, for example, someone or a baker could work as a confectionist, for example. That's related. Well, that's a quite simple example, but I think that shows what I mean. So it's not as strict. We have generally no required level of salary unless you are above 45 years of age. Then you need a gross annual salary of at least 48,180 euros in 2023. Of course, also you cannot just have really low salary. I said it before, the Federal Employment Agency checks that you don't earn under minimum wage, etc. But this visa itself doesn't need a certain salary level. There are also no German language skills required, but attention, because if you work in a regulated profession, for example, and you need some certain German skills, then this already gets checked in the recognition process. So here, at this point, your full recognition is there. That implies that if there are language requirements that you need to fulfill, we guess that you fulfill them at this point. So that the embassy doesn't check any further language requirements anymore. But of course, I think I don't have to say it, and the ones who were with us in the webinar with the Goethe Institute, it is highly recommended to come to Germany with some certain German skills, because it will make your life way easier. All right, this residence permit will be issued for the duration of the contract, but for the first time for a maximum of 4 years. That doesn't mean that it doesn't get renewed, but for the first time it will have like an ending date of 4 years. If, for example, you have an unlimited contract where there's no time restriction, your residence permit won't be issued for a longer time than 4 years. Then after 4 years, you can either renew it, or you can check if you fulfill the conditions of a settlement permit, for example. So yeah, that's what is behind here. Then we look at the next residence title, the EU Blue Card for academics. You can see the green marker. The EU Blue Card will change a little bit in November. For example, the salary levels will be a bit lower. This is actually, I think, a very attractive change of this residence title, but you will read all about it either in November in the section EU Blue Card, or in summer in our pre-information site. But what is the EU Blue Card now? So you need a full recognition of your foreign academic qualification. You can already see it. The EU Blue Card is a residence title for academic qualifications. The work visa before, the general one, I go back, this is for academic and vocational qualifications, but the EU Blue Card is just for academic qualifications. Also here you need a concrete job offer matching the recognized academic qualification, and an employment in related professions is not possible. Here we have a required level of salary. At the moment, in regular professions, it is needed that you earn a gross annual salary of at least 58,400 euros in the year 2023, and in bottleneck professions, it's a bit lower. It's a gross annual salary of at least 45,552 euros. You can see it down there. Current bottleneck professions include at the moment all occupations in the field of mathematics, computer science, natural science, engineering, and human medicine. Again, those levels of salary will be lowered in November, and also a few more changes will come for the EU Blue Card. So keep updated about this. Here's the same with German language skills. There are no specific language skills needed unless you work in a regulated profession, etc. We talked about it before. But here by law, for this residence title, the embassy won't check your language skills additionally, or will ask for a certain certificate. Again, highly recommended to learn German beforehand, or even if it's a little bit. The residence permit of the EU Blue Card will be issued for the duration of your work contract plus 3 months, and also here for a maximum of 4 years. It's also renewable, of course. And yeah, after 4 years, if you actually work consistently, you well, with the EU Blue Card already before, but it is possible to apply for a settlement permit. So that is definitely recommended if you plan to stay in Germany long term. Yeah, and we have a third visa or residence title for other employment purposes. In this case, for IT specialists. IT specialists actually don't only have this option here. Of course, IT specialists with other qualifications can also apply for EU Blue Card or the regular work visa. But if you are an IT specialist who doesn't have like a formal qualification with the recognition, you have an additional way to come to Germany. But of course, also here there are some conditions for this residence permit. For example, theoretical knowledge in IT, for example, training courses, certifications, etc. You need at least 3 years of experience acquired during the last 7 years. You need a concrete job offer as an IT specialist in Germany. And also here there is a required level of salary. It is expected that you will get at least a gross annual salary of 52,560 euros. And here there are also German language skills required that you will need to prove at the German embassy when you file your visa application. It would be at least level B1 of German, unless your employer states that the company language, for example, is English. In this case, yeah, it's not applicable. This residence permit is issued for the duration of the contract. And you can also see the green marker here. Also in this case, there will be a few changes. For example, the level of salary will also be lowered, and there will also be changes when it comes to the German language skills. So as you can see, there will be changes within certain residence permits to make it more accessible. As the law hasn't been it's still in progress, so to say, it's not possible to give too concrete details at this point because the law isn't enforced yet. So I'm trying to just make you aware of where there will be changes so that we can look them up as soon as they are enforced. We have a procedure that I also want to present to you. Once you have found an employer and you know which way you want to go, so to say, you can talk to your employer and check if the fast track procedure is a good way for you. It could be, it could make sense, for example, if you live in a country where there are very long waiting times at German embassies, because this process can speed up the whole visa process. So it's voluntarily, it's not mandatory, but it's one option that you and your employer can decide together if you want to choose this way of applying for the visa. The fast track procedure for skilled workers has been introduced for skilled workers and vocational trainees from non-EU countries. It speeds up the administrative procedure until the visa is issued. The application takes place in Germany through your future employer at the Foreigners Authority in Germany. There are a few documents needed. For example, a copy of your passport, a letter of authorization of the skilled worker, of course, because you need to allow your employer cannot just go with your documents to the Foreigners Authority and do things. Of course, you need to formally allow him or her to do that. Of course, information and qualification certificates of the skilled worker and a few more. So there's a list of documents required. This procedure costs 411 euros, and it is charged when the application is filed at the Foreigners Authority. The result of the procedure, if successful, is the pre-approval for the visa. But what happens if this pre-approval has been or will be issued? It's a little bit complex. I'll try to give you an overview, but I'll also give you links on where to find detailed information about it if you think that's a relevant thing for you. So what is getting faster? The procedure of professional recognition. If you haven't done your recognition yet, once you have found a job with a German employer, this recognition procedure is part of the will be part of the fast track procedure. So the Foreigners Authority will start the recognition procedure with the with the German authority in charge. Then, after the recognition procedure, the approvals procedure will be done by the Federal Employment Agency, and if both of those procedures will be successful, you will get the pre-approval for the visa. And with this pre-approval, you can go to the German embassy, well, book an appointment at the German embassy in your country, and then you will get a quicker appointment within 3 weeks after your request. The decision about your visa application will then be made after 3 weeks after, or within 3 weeks after your complete visa application. That's like the general standardized scheme, so to say, of this procedure. So within this procedure, there's the recognition procedure, the approvals procedure of the Federal Employment Agency, and also the visa application will get faster. Very important that you have a good communication with your employer during the course of this procedure, so that all the documents are there, that if, for example, there are further documents needed, that everything goes smooth and quick. So communication is very important when it comes to this procedure. But it's very good that you can do this together with your employer. I think that's one of the advantages of this procedure as well, that you and your employer have the opportunity to get like involved and ask questions to the Foreigners Authority and stuff about like the visa procedure. Here we have a graphic that I hope it makes it a bit easier to understand the way of this whole procedure. So we start at the top left. The visa applicant, the skilled worker, sends documents to the employer in Germany. Well, of course, the both of you have to decide if you want to do it or not, the fast track procedure. Then you put together the documents, the employer concludes an agreement with the Foreigners Authority in Germany, and the Foreigners Authority starts the recognition process and the approval process, like talks to the other authorities in charge, so to say. And then in the best case, this procedure will be successful, the pre-approval will be issued, and with this pre-approval, you can book a visa application at the German diplomatic mission. You can see on the right side here, there are further links about this procedure to understand it. If you have found an employer, you can also inform him or her about this procedure if you think that could make sense. So that's also one purpose of the information that we provide on the website, that you could actually make your employer aware about this procedure. So these here on the right side are links. There's a section on the website about this procedure. There's a step-by-step guide. We have an explainer video. We also have like a whole brochure about it on our website. The competent authorities in Germany are listed here. So you and your employer would find all the information needed on our website. On this page, I have put together for you some important links so that you directly find them when you want to look them up on Make It in Germany. For example, I mentioned it earlier, the quick check that is very useful for you if you really in the beginning and you want to just get your first individual advice, so to say, or orientation. There's a visa section with all the residence permits that we've also listed here before. Of course, also the 3 that we talked about today, but also, for example, the visa for job seeking or research or studying. You'll find all of them there. There are step-by-step guides. We have videos about the different topics. We did webinars about different topics, not only within this month. When you go to our YouTube channel, you find a very big variety of webinars that we did about different topics. And again, the fast track procedure material. Here you also see the green marker. Of course, all those information or all this information will be updated as soon as the new regulations come. So yeah, you can rely on this information, and once the info is into force, you'll find them on our website. All right, after having focused on specific residence permits, I want to talk about like the general visa and entry process. I think that makes sense to have a look at like the general way, so to say. You might have seen this slide in the first webinar. I think Katharina was showing it to you, to just see where the visa application is here. Don't see it as like an obligated order, because you can see your recognition and learning German, then job search, then visa application, then arrival. It really depends, right? This is just an example how it could go. Learning German, of course, this is a never-ending journey. The recognition can also be after you've found a job, right? Yeah, and the visa application can also be in the case of, for example, the visa for job seeking. Then the visa application comes before you finding a job. So it's flexible, this slide. But generally, I want to trigger that the visa application doesn't come at the first step. So there's a lot of preparation needed. There's a lot of research needed before you really go to the embassy and make your visa application. It's very crucial that you go there being well prepared, having all the information together, all the documents together, knowing which visa you are actually going for, and then going through this process. So that's actually the purpose of this slide. You might guess it already, you find links everywhere here. So to the certain topics, you find further links that you can get advice about the certain areas. But yeah, the visa application. Get first orientation and general information. Website Make It in Germany, you heard it a few times today. There's a visa navigator of the Federal Foreign Office as well, where you get information about the different visa types. And of course, check the website of the competent embassy in your country. On Make It in Germany, there's a world map. There's a link on the slide here as well, where you find German institutions in your country, and also, of course, consulate and embassies. So you get the contacts and the website straight away if you can't find it through a web search or something. And important, the application and the processing is done by the competent German mission. They are the authority in charge of the visa application or visa processing. A little checklist for the visa application itself or the process. Check your requirements beforehand. There are various types of visa. I think we've seen this today with different requirements. You find all of them also on Make It in Germany, and you should also find them on the website of the German embassy in your country. So what's the purpose of your stay in Germany and which requirements apply in this case? This is very, very important to check before you book an appointment at the embassy or do steps in this direction. You have our quick check, you have our visa section, you have the visa navigator. All of those tools help you to decide which is the correct visa for you. Then the requesting an appointment at the German embassy or consulate. If the requirements for visa are fulfilled, the necessary documents for the visa application have to be gathered, of course, and also check if you can simultaneously book the appointment at the embassy already, because we talked about it, it could take some time. So once you know, hey, this document, I will have the documents together soon, book your appointment. You find the contact of the German embassies or consulates on our world map, for example. On the website of the respective German embassy or consulate, you find information on the concrete necessary documents. And I put also a link for the visa application form, which is online. And then the application for the visa. The submission of the visa application takes place with complete and correct necessary documents, and that's very important, because if you don't have everything with you, you might have to come back or definitely bring the missing documents. So make sure that you have everything together. Important is that the visa must correspond to the purpose of the stay in Germany. You cannot, for example, enter Germany with a tourist visa and then plan to work here. So you have to apply for a visa for the purpose of qualified employment, and then you can change this visa to a residence title in Germany for qualified employment. Generally, the visa fee is 75 euros and can be paid to the German mission abroad in the local currency. Please note that this fee won't be reimbursed independently from if the a successful or unsuccessful visa application. Okay, I think we are done with our little sprint. If you have further questions, even after the webinar, contact us. There's the hotline on our website. There's options to contact us via chat or mail. But yeah, I'm looking forward to your questions now. And yeah, Katharina, I hope the chat was busy.
I thank you for your really helpful input here. Yeah, we received some questions. I think we are starting right away because I know more and more questions will coming up during the session. First of all, which professionals come under skilled workers?
That's a good question. There is a definition for this. I have not put this in my presentation today. Sorry, but thanks for this question. So skilled workers are professionals that have a qualification that took, well, at least 2 years. There's like, let me find the definition for you because I think that can be handy and we can put it in the chat. Because with the Skilled Immigration Act, actually the first time skilled worker has been defined, right? Let me see, because like this, we can already check the website. Katharina, you can see the website now, right?
Yes.
Perfect. At the moment, we still have short information on the Skilled Immigration Act from 2020. By the way, here you will find the new information about the reform. And here you can also find the definition of the qualified professional. As you can see here, the following persons are considered qualified professionals under the Skilled Immigration Act. Persons who have either completed qualified vocational training in Germany or persons who have acquired a vocational qualification abroad, which has been recognized as equivalent to German qualified vocational training. Shorter foreign vocational training courses may be considered equivalent to qualified vocational training in Germany if the training does not differ substantially, or if these differences have been compensated for. That sounds a bit complicated, but it's actually not really. So if you have acquired a qualification abroad and you have a recognition, then you're a skilled worker. This is for vocational qualifications, and academic qualifications have to be comparable to an academic qualification in Germany. You can check this through Anabin, for example, the database. I don't want to dive too deep into the topic of recognition, but maybe you can watch another webinar about recognition. Maybe Katharina, if she has time, can send it in the chat. But yeah, I hope this helps a little bit. So 2 years, at least 2 years of qualification in your home country, that is actually, if it's a foreign one, recognized in Germany, so to say.
Okay, thank you for this precise definition. The next question. Is Anabin database for foreign academic qualification sufficient for visa along with a job offer, or some other recognition is needed?
Usually, if your university and your course is listed in Anabin, and I think it's an H and a plus, there are these signs that say if they are equivalent, this should be enough. Usually, if your program is listed in Anabin, you don't need this individual checkup by the ZAB.
Okay, thanks. Wait, I always have to filter a bit.
Sure.
If I come to Germany with an IT specialist visa, can I get the blue card during the residence permit?
No, I would say no, because when you come with the IT specialist visa, that means that you don't have a qualification that is recognized. If you don't have a qualification that's recognized, you cannot get the EU blue card. You know, if you have the qualification beforehand already, you would directly go for the EU blue card. So this change is only possible if you acquire a qualification, and for this you need to undergo a qualification. So this change is not realistic and also therefore not possible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what are the possibilities to get a job visa with a little job experiences but good education background? I think it's hard to say.
Yeah. It depends. Yes, I think it's crucial here is your application, I would say. And I think that's actually also one of the most important steps in this whole process, the job search, the finding a job. So if you have good educational background, a good good working experience or a little working experience, I think the impression and the contact with the employer in Germany is like crucial, you know, and it depends on the employer and on your application. Don't underestimate how Germans do applications. We are very structured when it comes to that. So of course it's realistic to get a job. Here it really depends on your job search and application work. I don't know if you might have taken part in the last webinar, but here you can find really a lot of tips. There's the job listings on our website as well. I don't know if that's helpful for you. Maybe since we have been on the website already, I can show it to you. It's here under work in Germany, job listings. And there you can also, of course, next to all the other job listings there are in this world, you can find job offers here. You know. You can filter it and look for a job. But yes, of course, there are chances that you make it to Germany, so to say. Yeah, it depends on your recognition in that case and on your job search.
Okay, thank you. I hope you mind that I will have to read the questions in okay. Okay, maybe this one. I have more than one recognized qualification. Can I find a job different from the one that I applied for the job seeker visa for skilled professions after the admission?
Can you repeat that?
Okay, I think he has two qualifications.
Yeah.
And for one, he applied for the job seeker visa, and he's asking if he can work with the other qualification when he's coming to Germany and get after the admission. I
think it's difficult because you need you can only work in this area where you have the recognition. So this job seeker visa actually opens up the German labor market for you in this area where your qualification is recognized in. So I would say no, that you can. I would say you can only find a job and take a job in this area where you have a qualification in which you have applied for the job seeker visa. But also maybe a little hint, job seeking and also recognition are two areas that will change quite a lot when the new law is coming. So keep updated about this. Those changes will come in 2024. Especially when it comes to job seeking, there will be opportunities will be widened about this.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Alexandra. How can the job seeker visa be converted to a blue card visa once finding employment in Germany?
You enter Germany with a job seeker visa. In the best case, you find a job here that fulfills the requirements of the blue card. you have your work contract, etc. You book an appointment at the Foreigners Authority in Germany that is close to your address. So that's responsible for you, so to say. And then you change your entry visa or your job seeker visa to a residence permit. If it's the blue card or the work visa, depends then on your work contract. But this is normally an easy administrative step, but I have to give you the information that waiting times at foreigners authorities can be a little longer at the moment. So once you know you have the chance, you get the job offer, etc., book an appointment straight away, so that it's not months away. So I would say that's the biggest hurdle when it comes to changing from the entry visa of job seeking to then the residence permit. It's an easy administrative step, but there is waiting time.
Thanks. How is the procedure if a person already has a blue card in another EU country in 9 months? Will that blue card also be accepted in Germany, or has the person to order a new blue card in Germany?
I know that in this area there will be changes coming as well with the new EU blue card. At this moment, I think that, well, since the blue card is connected to your job, and you want to move to Germany and live in Germany, you need a job offer from Germany that fulfills the requirements of the German EU blue card. So if I understand the question correct, I would say it is possible to change from one EU country to another one and also get a blue card, but you need a job offer in Germany and work from here to get this EU blue card. If that makes sense for you, I think that's your question. I hope it is. But please note that this area is also something that in November will be a little bit changed.
So still updates us in this topic.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Other question, it's also regarding the job seeker visa. Maybe you can share the information on our website on this topic.
Yeah.
But I can read this question. Is it possible to come on job seeker visa and start a part-time job for a few months and then simultaneously can find a permanent job as per my qualification and the experience?
I love this question because I know I'm repeating myself, but at the moment I'm showing you the sections of job seeker because we have a lot of job seekers here today. Here you find the requirements for the job seeker visa. At the moment, you are not allowed to work in Germany when you are here for the job with a job seeker visa, not at all. That's why you have to provide like this blocked account with a certain amount on it before coming to Germany with a job seeker visa. I think it should stand here somewhere as well. Please be aware the residence permit for job seekers cannot be extended. No, this is about extended. Up here. During your stay in Germany, you may work on trial for up to 10 hours per week as part of an application process, but not to make money, so to say. So in this framework, you can work, but it's not really to provide money here to live from. This is an area that will change as well next year because the government saw that it should be possible for people that come with a job seeker visa that they, can provide a little bit for themselves while they are here. So the working opportunities during the stay of the job seeker visa will be improved up from next year. But at this point, working while being here as a job seeker is quite regulated, as you can see in this info box here. So this is kind of like a test work within an application process. So you find an employer, you both think it could match, and then you can do a little trial work. But this is not really like a part-time job that you can do for 6 months or so.
Okay, thank you. There's many different questions. Since we only have 5 minutes, we can also exceed it, but unfortunately, we cannot answer all questions. Maybe you can say something about the statement, not the statement of comparability, the statement of declaration. Can you please give me more information regarding the related family member, brother working in Germany? I read about the type of visa as the guarantee from the brother in Germany. I think he means the statement of declaration. Is it right?
You mean the letter of commitment? Yeah, hang on. I don't understand the question though.
I think this depends on which type of visa you need. He asked me, is this a special type of visa you need to register? It is not.
No, yeah, it's a means to secure your living expenses. I'm just checking if I find it here. So we, in German, it's Verpflichtungserklärung. But I'm not sure where I find it here in the glossary. Nonetheless, if we're talking about the same thing, which I think, let me find it in the glossary because I want to make sure that we talk about the same thing. If it's that, then it's a means or a way to prove that you are financially secure during your stay in Germany. It's not an own visa. It's meant for those types of visa where you are supposed to prove a certain financial security. For example, job seeker visa, visa for studying, visa for vocational training. In those cases, you need to provide a certain amount of money to be able to stay in Germany. And in those cases, there's an option, for example, of opening a blocked account with a certain amount, but there's also the option if you have, for example, a brother in Germany who earns enough money to have a Verpflichtungserklärung. Here it is. I'm going on, I hope it translates when I'm going on English now, so we have, we can make sure that we are talking about the same thing. Declaration of commitment, not letter of commitment, declaration of commitment. So with this, you can, you can also use it as a proof of enough financial needs. So it's not an own visa, but it's one way to secure your financial, to prove your financial security during your stay in Germany. If this is something that the visa you want to apply for needs, like job seeker, studying, training, for example. I hope that it explains it. Well, I hope that was your question.
Yes, thank you. What's another question I want to read? Yes, there is also a question, what happens if the embassy has long waiting times for giving appointment dates? For example, in India, it takes ages at the embassy.
Yeah.
What can you recommend?
Actually, really, the only tip I can give is once you have found an employer, talk to him or her about the fast track procedure for skilled workers. There's no other way to speed up the waiting time for an appointment. Maybe also an important information at the moment, like waiting times, for example, for job seeker visas can be longer than for the ones for work visas. It really depends on where you are, but in India, I know the waiting times can be quite long. In this case, really, this procedure is, I would say, the only way to speed this process up. I can show you, you know that the links are in the presentation, right? But I can show you the section. It's actually on the side for employers. The section, the fast track procedure for skilled workers. And here, really, the whole procedure is listed and explained again. I would talk to my employer in your case once you have found one, and it can make sense to just go for this procedure. That doesn't mean that you will be in Germany after 3 weeks, but instead of multiple months, it will be a few months. So that will be my tip in this case. Oh, but maybe I can say one more thing. Also with the amendment of the new law, the German government plans to build up capacities and infrastructure so that the waiting times, they probably won't be short, but this problem is being seen, and also this is part of the amendment to improve on the bureaucracy and those administrative steps.
Okay. I think we have probably 5 more minutes, but I think then we have covered most of the questions here. The question is quite detailed, but it's about a citizen from the Australian USA.
Okay.
So I just read it out loud. For citizens of the non-EU, non-EEA countries exempted from the visa requirement for entry, what is the process for applying for a work residence permit if the person is already in Germany and has a concrete job offer from the employer? As part of the application process, does the employer have to do anything such as prove to the German authorities that he or she could not find an EU person for the job? And in general, how long does it take for the German authorities to process the work residence permit application for someone already in Germany?
Okay. Let's see. You're from Australia and you are in Germany and you have a job offer and you want to apply for the residence title to work here for qualified employment. That means you book an appointment with the Foreigners Authority and bring them the documents that they need. Usually that can be also like the registration of your address, insurance, etc. There are a few basic more, but usually that should, I think when you live in Germany already, that should be possible for you to provide. Your employer does not have to prove that there were were no other EU or German citizens available, because this was called the Vorrangprüfung. It was the case to do this in certain cases before the Skilled Immigration Act came into force in 2020. And it's still at the moment being done with vocational trainees. But in your case, employment, he or she does not have to prove this. There's no such thing then as privileged EU or German workers. And how long does it take? That I really cannot say, because it depends on your local Foreigners Authority. There will be Foreigners Authorities that are very, very busy and it can take a little longer, and there are the ones where it goes quite fast. So if you haven't done it yet, book an appointment straight away so that you don't lose any time. But once you have filed in your application, even if it takes a little longer, you would get like a Fiktionsbescheinigung, so that you don't have to leave Germany after after a certain time or anything. So once you have filed in your application, then of course it's important to get the answer so that you can start to work, but at least your stay is not in danger or anything. I hope that makes sense for you. So book an appointment. If you have a job offer already, book an appointment straight away with your local Foreigners Authority. I think that's the tip in that case.
Okay, thanks. Maybe one more question, and then unfortunately I have to close this Q&A session. To apply for a job in Germany, or maybe also for the visa, do we need to translate our degrees documents?
That's a tricky one. If it's in English, it's possible that it doesn't necessarily have to be translated, but I think it depends on the embassy and the recognition authority. I think most of them should accept your documents in English. If it's any other language, usually you need translated documents. But I would definitely advise to check the website of the embassy if they say anything about it. But usually, most of the times, it should be okay in English. But if it's any other language, unfortunately, it needs to be translated. About the question about the recognition, the qualification issue, I want to show you last thing now, I think. The ZSAB. It is a place, you can also reach it through our hotline. Let me show it to you. Contact us here. And then you can choose topics of topics, for example, or when you, let's go to hotline. And here you can see topics that you can choose here, right? Or that you can be advised on. Also recognition of foreign vocational qualifications. When you call the hotline and you say, or the topic recognition, then you will be directed to the ZSAB. They are actually the first contact point when it's about recognition of foreign qualifications, and they also help you and guide you with collecting your documents, and they definitely also can tell you if you need a translation. So yeah, that would be my tip, to contact them. They can also help you in detail with the documents, etc. Yeah, I hope that helps you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one more question. I tried to answer it on the chat, but it's time.
Okay.
So maybe I took it. But basically got this question yesterday also. Hi, I was shortlisted for a job. Later they asked me if I was from Germany. When I said no, my application was rejected. Can you suggest what needs to be done during such times? We received this question yesterday also. Some employers in Germany are looking for international professionals, but they are not familiar with the entry process. So I think it works like in the USA, for example, where you can also come not with a concrete job offer for the visa application. So yes, unfortunately, we're sorry for this experiences, but maybe it would be helpful if you can also give some information in the process. For example, the Make It in Germany webpage also provides information for German employers so they can see how the process works. So you can just attach this information. So the employer who really for the first time tries to recruit from abroad can see how the procedure works. Unfortunately, there are not so many things you can do at this point, but it would be helpful to provide also the employer the information. We are trying to reach them, of course, that's our job here, but this might be a little in such times. And on the other hand, yes, you have to apply for the jobs and don't be hopeless. In this case, you will find your way. So I think this was the last question.
Okay.
And yes, I'm going to show the website, so you just can find it on the Make It in Germany website for skilled workers, and just click for employers and attach this information. So thank you for staying with us today. If you are interested on how life in Germany can actually look like, please join our webinar on the next week. You will see us both again.
Yep.
And yes, thank you so much for all your interesting questions. And please, if you have further questions, go to the contact formula to send your questions to our experts. And yes, thank you, Alexander, for all the detailed information today. It was received very well.
That's cool. I'm happy about this. I hope it was helpful for you. I wish you all the best. And I'm saying my last words, keep updated about the new law that is coming. Up from summer, you'll find concrete information on Make It in Germany.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.